The Phillies are throwing Aaron Nola at the Dodgers tonight. Does that actually help or hurt LA? Plus, Roki Sasaki's response regarding Philly hecklers might be the most badass thing said this postseason.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's do or die for Philadelphia, and the best they could do to throw the Dodgers off their game is Aaron Nola? Really? Roki Sasaki dropped one of the coolest quotes of October that might cement his spot as LA's closer even more. Plus, we're going to our listener line as we have callers talking bullpen and who they want to face in the NLCS. We have a loaded episode today, Travis.
Yes, indeed we do. It's an opportunity to slam the door, shove them off the cliff, choke them out, whatever you want to do it. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today.
He's Travis Rogers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger Blue for life. You can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA on the radio in Los Angeles or the ESPN LA app worldwide from 3 to 6 p.m. with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans and the Las Vegas Raiders. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, talking Dodger baseball with you. If you're new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe, leave a like, and a comment as we love listening to what you have to say. You can also sound off via text or voicemail on our listener line, 279-3LOCKED or 279-356-2533. All right, let's dive in. Aaron Nola is officially getting the ball for the Phillies today in Game 3. Proven, veteran, he's tested. But here's where it gets interesting. The Dodgers actually match up really well against Nola. The last time LA saw him this season, they got to him. 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 home runs, Kike and Conforto. Only 2 strikeouts. The Dodgers are actually 7-1 in the last 8 games that they've played against Aaron Nola. And the kicker is for us, Travis, is that he's the first right-handed pitcher to start against Los Angeles in this round.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. The only thing that I can come up with that Rob Thompson is thinking when he goes out with Nola today instead of a guy like Suarez is veteran experience. And okay, I mean that's fine. It would be one thing if you had a veteran pitcher up there who was going up against a team that was loaded up with a bunch of young guys that were, this was the first time they were in there, maybe a little over anxious and maybe trying to do a little too much, but that's not this Dodger team. This Dodger team is about as grizzled and experienced as any playoff team you're going to see. I mean, they've been going through this for a decade and a half. So I think they're going to be ready to go. I think this is an opportunity for the Dodgers. And look, I guess if you're the Phillies, maybe you're thinking if he's on, great, we'll ride him right up until he starts to wobble a little bit. But I guess if you're a Dodger fan like we are, you don't get a chance. You're not going to get a chance to pound Aaron Nola. You're not going to get a chance to put up 5, 6, 7 runs against the guy. If they start getting to him, I think you're going to see a very quick hook from Philly.
Yeah, Nola sporting a 6+ ERA. He went 5-10 in 17 games started. And here's the kicker, though, Travis. The Dodgers, like I said, they haven't played a right-handed pitcher, and this has helped them to not have Will Smith and Max Muncy in their lineup and not using them until halfway through the game in Game 1 and 2. For Will, it was when the catcher spot came up for the second time in the lineup. And for Muncy, whenever the lefty starter got pulled from the game. By doing this, I feel the Phillies manager, Rob Thornton, wants to make the Dodgers potentially start Will Smith and Max Muncy, who don't seem to be at 100% yet, to then bring Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen. So my question is, does this hurt LA's chances or help them by potentially having a red-hot start against Nola instead of having to wait until the 7th inning to do damage like it was the case in Games 1 and 2?
Yeah, look, if Thompson is thinking that he's going to get, cute and I'll force Smith into the lineup, I will force Muncy into the lineup so I can switch quickly after that. And now you get a lefty on Muncy. Okay, go ahead. Knock yourself out, dude. That seems a little too cute to me. I would think you'd want to throw your best guy. I don't know if Nola is their best guy. I know that the Dodgers are throwing their best guy or one of their 3 or 4 best guys because, Yamamoto, I guess, is their best guy, but by what? A hair over Snell, a hair over Ohtani. So I think that the pitching matchup definitely favors the Dodgers. I think that, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been so consistent this season. He just really, even his starts that I think by his standards you would qualify as bad starts aren't that bad. His bad starts are kind of just middle of the pack starts. If the Dodgers score him runs, that's been the only issue for him, and it has nothing to do with Yamamoto. Is the Dodgers' inability to put runs on the board when he pitches, but it does seem like they've kind of squared that away. I mean, you're talking about a guy with an ERA under 2.5, a WHIP under 1. This is one of the best. Skeens is going to win the Cy Young Award, and he should, but Yamamoto's definitely going to be a finalist, and having him in a closeout game at home is a huge advantage for the Dodgers, and they can do whatever they want on their side, and I still feel like the Dodgers have the upper hand.
Travis, 30 games started for Yoshi this season.
That's amazing.
Only 4 times did he allow 4 earned runs or more. And then you add 5 games where he earned 3 runs or more. That gives him, out of 30 starts, in 9 of them, he allowed 3 earned runs or more. That means in 21 of them, he had 2 earned runs or less. That is ace stuff. And if you look at his record, 12-8, it's not as impressive. But if you're a Dodger fan, it's more from this team failing him with the bats than him with the quality of him with his arm. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he is, in my opinion, my favorite, I'll go with it, my favorite pitcher that these Dodgers have, with all due respect to Blake Snell, who I still need him to prove himself for a longer time, and and Shohei Ohtani, who's spectacular. But if you're talking pitcher, exclusively pitcher, I'm going Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and I'm very happy that he's the guy that gets the ball in game number 3 with the opportunity to clinch it. I feel that this game, he's going to go 7, if not 8.
Yeah, look, I'd take 6 the way that it's set up. I think that they've got some options back there that maybe they might not have had a month or so ago. 7 would be ideal. If you get 8, that's a gift from the baseball gods, and you run to the bank and you take it right now. It's funny, as you were talking, Harry, and I was thinking, okay, what about Ohtani? What about Snell? Because in my mind, I was thinking, Yamamoto may have the best stuff. He may not. They're all so close. It's really hard to determine which guy is the nastiest among them. And I started thinking, okay, so which guy's the most competitive among them? Well, we saw Snell the other night. That was a pretty vicious competitor in his own right. We know what Ohtani's all about, right? He's just an absolute killer out there. But I'm not so sure that it isn't Yamamoto. I'm not so sure that, you go out there and you watch him, and the way that the Dodgers, I don't want to say, put him in a bad spot, because that's too extreme, but the way that they couldn't score for him, the way that no-hitter came unfolded, the way that they constantly make errors behind him or can't score runs. We saw them drop that ball against the Reds. He just keeps firing. He just keeps competing and just keeps moving forward, and his expression doesn't change. He is the most absolutely implacable guy. And then he has that, the fist pump at the end of an inning. But I absolutely love this guy. He came over last year and it was okay, let's see what it looks like. And then he missed a bunch of the time, and he came back. He was really good in the postseason. This year, he has just been a relentless strike throwing machine and just been mowing guys down all season long. And I'm very excited to get to see him pitch today, because I know he's going to compete like crazy. I know the stuff will likely be pretty good. And if the Dodgers can score 4 or 5 runs in this game, I really like their chances.
And look, Yoshi, I feel that he's going to have it locked on since early in the game. And now Aaron Nola, with him on the mound, honestly, for me, it doesn't scare the Dodgers lineup. It might just end up playing into their hands with this game, with the way that it can be structured. And speaking of handling pressure, one Dodger who's handled it better than anyone might be the rookie on the mound late in the game. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, Roki Sasaki gave a quote in his press conference that perfectly sums up why this kid was built for October baseball. You're going to love it.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you are not going to want to miss. Here's why. Because right now, if you're a new customer at FanDuel, you can bet just $5. And if that $5 bet hits, you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You just pick a bet, any bet you want. Put down $5, and if the bet hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. And FanDuel is amazing because it gives you so many different ways to play. I like parlays, right? Parlays are a great way to do it. FanDuel has parlays. You like player props? You want to do that? Great. FanDuel has you covered with player props as well. And of course, live betting lines during all the games. It makes watching football, playoff baseball even more exciting when you've got that little something riding on the action. So whether you are a casual fan or love going deep, FanDuel makes the game day experience that much better. So let me ask you the most important question. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Subscribe, smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers Postcast Show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. So after game 2, Roki Sasaki was asked about all the heckling he's been getting from those Philly fans. You know how wild that crowd can be. Travis was there earlier in the season. Nonstop noise, brutal chants, waving signs, and he just smiles and said in Japanese, "I don't understand English, so I have no idea what they're saying. It doesn't bother me." That is gold. That is exactly what makes Roki even more special. He doesn't get caught up in the chaos. For a guy pitching in his first postseason on U.S. soil, he's showing mental toughness you usually only see from veteran aces. And Travis, I feel that this is a secret weapon for Sasaki, not understanding one bit of what people are telling him.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you dropped me off in Japan and people started yelling at me, I'd have no idea what they were telling me. I didn't know if they were offering me directions to a restaurant or telling me to get lost. I'd have no idea. So as far as Roki's concerned, it's just loud. That's all. So he's a professional. He can deal with loud. That's not a big deal at all. I think the most amazing thing about Sasaki in this version of him, since he's come back from the minor league, since they, have him bending his right knee. I was reading a story about it yesterday, how they got to get him in a different position to load, and it unlocks all the, the magic that's in that right arm of his. But for me, it's not necessarily anything other than the way that he attacks the strike zone now. And, he was a below league average strike thrower when he first got here, and significantly below, not just a little bit below, but significantly below. He's throwing like 59% strikes. The league average is like 65%. So he was way, way below that. In the postseason, and since he's come back as a relief pitcher, he's thrown about 88% strikes. So he is just filling up the zone, and you can see it on his face. You can see it in his body language. You can see it in the way that he's breathing. You can see it it's just right there in front of all of us, that this competitive, let's go. And before, when you watch him pitch, and having been a guy that has done this before, there is a huge difference between trying to avoid contact and just saying, blanket, man, here it comes. If you hit it, great, good for you, but I'm throwing another nasty pitch and another one and another one and another one. And it's up to you to square up a bunch of them in a row, which is really hard to do. But when you walk a couple of guys, if you get a little flare hit and you're trying to avoid contact, now all of a sudden when someone does square one up, you're in the deep end of the pool. But he has totally changed his position. He has totally, or his disposition, I should say. And the man is just attacking, and I love it. And if he can block out the noise, and quite frankly, blocking out the Dodger Stadium vibe is great for the home team. That goes without saying. But just go in there, focus on the hitter, attack the hitter, fill up the strike zone, and see what happens, because he has unlocked a level or a component on this team that we really haven't seen all season long. And it's huge knowing that you have a guy that's going to come in there and throw strikes at the end of the game.
Yeah, and for Roki, he went from May 9th, all the way through September 24th without being in a big league mound.
Yep.
How are you going to adapt to the big leagues if you're not on the mound? Well, he figured it out. He got it physically, mentally, and he's in the best spot possible. Dave Roberts was asked about who's your primary closer, or is Roki Sasaki your primary closer? And he said, yes, he's our primary closer. The thing is, they still don't trust the front office and the managerial staff with the Dodgers that he can go back-to-back days. They didn't even trust him in 2 out of 3 days. And right now, with the way the DS was structured for the Dodgers, it was perfect. Getting a day off after game 1, getting a day off after game 2. Now comes the possibility, which we hope doesn't happen, that they get back-to-back days with games with 3 and 4. Hopefully it's just game 3. You shut the door and you wait until the start of next week. But that's the big question right now. And personally, Travis, I want to ask you, you were a pitcher with Cal State, with Santa Barbara, sorry. Yeah. And with the Gauchos, how was it? Because obviously, college baseball is a completely different monster than the big leagues. But when you get asked, go out there tomorrow or go out there very soon, how is it for you guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and whether you're a starting pitcher or a relief pitcher, you're an everyday player, you're a role player, I don't think it matters a ton. It's you get used to your routine, right? So if I am a bullpen guy, I get used to a bullpen routine, which means I need to be ready kind of every day, unless I know for sure the manager has told me, hey, you're down today, we are not using you. And then you can alter that routine a little bit. I think Sasaki trying to figure out what that routine is like for him on the fly can be a bit of a challenge. Now, what makes it a little easier for him relative to some other guys is the stuff plays up so significantly that this isn't necessarily, now it'd be better if you had a little more seasoning and been back-to-back days or 2 out of 3 days or 3 out of 4 or whatever it may be to kind of know how his body is going to respond to that. That's a big part of it. But his stuff is so good that as long as he's in the strike zone, I think he's going to be all right. Now, over the course of a season, he would have to learn the rhythms of the bullpen and all this. But over a short sprint, right, a 5-game series, maybe even a 7-game series, just, hey, man, I just got to go out there and fire. I think that will work in the short term, or at least I'm optimistic that it'll work in the short term, because it's not like he has to relearn a bunch of stuff. He hasn't pitched really at all this year. And I don't think this was done with purpose, but I think it's a benefit ultimately that landed in the Dodgers' lap that no one has really seen him all season long is another benefit to him, that this is a new face, a new arm, a new action, a new ball trajectory. All of these things, very few teams have gotten a look at him, and Philly is not one of those teams. So I think there's a little bit of an advantage there as well.
8 games from March 19th through May 9th. And then you had those 2 outings in Arizona and in Seattle as a closer. And then the games over in the wild card and now over in the divisional series. It's a very small sample size that teams have been able to see, to get video on him, to try to figure out and to try to hit him with very little evidence of what he does well, what he doesn't do well. So let's hope that Roki Sasaki is able to eventually start getting back-to-back days, because can we even count the last game? Because it was 2 pitches. Oh, I don't want Dave Roberts to be like, oh, no, he pitched on Monday.
Well, it definitely counts, because once you're hot, once you're warm to come into a big league game, you've thrown right now. Now there's a difference between throwing 2 pitches and throwing 25. There's a difference there, but once
like
you're
Ryan did on Monday.
Right. So, but he coming in and throwing it all, I think definitely counts, because your adrenaline through the roof, your intensity is through the roof. Just getting ready is taxing in its own right. But look, he's a young guy. He's big, he's strong, and he's throwing gas. So I'm very optimistic about Roki. And look, I don't even want to put it out in the universe, so I'm knocking on my wooden desk here as we talk about this. But there's going to be a time where he goes out there and it's not great. That's okay. That's all right. That doesn't mean that the magic is gone. It means that he wasn't locating. It means that he wasn't filling up the strike zone. It means that, it could mean a million different things other than, this doesn't work anymore. The Dodgers will win the World Series because Roki Sasaki is really good, or they won't win the World Series because their bullpen just can't close the door. That's the wild card in all of this. But Sasaki, if they win the whole thing, Sasaki, I don't know if I want to say he could be an MVP of it, but he would be in the consideration of it if he becomes what it looks like he's becoming.
Now, here's one final question, Travis. If not Roki, who, in your opinion? Who do you trust right now to be like, I'm sending this guy out and he's going to get me 3 outs with the game within reach for our opponent?
What's the score?
3-1.
They're ahead?
Dodgers up ahead, yes. Dodgers have a save opportunity. Kershaw?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like, I don't even feel like, unfortunately, I don't feel that confident with Vesia right now.
No, it's Kershaw.
I'm like,
it's Kershaw, because here's the thing with Clayton Kershaw. Get ready, everydayers. You know what I'm going to say. He doesn't walk people. Okay, so if you're going to beat Clayton Kershaw, you're going to have to get, if you're 3-1 in Harry's example, to score 3 runs to beat him, you're going to have to get 4 or 5 hits to score 3 runs. That's even against a guy that's not throwing 100 miles an hour. That's really hard to do. Now, if you walk 2 guys, now you need 2 hits, right? And that's the difference between Vesia. That's the difference between Scott. That's the difference between Trinan and most of those other guys down there. I think in the scenario you laid out, Harry, it's got to be Kershaw, because there just aren't a lot of other places where you're going to put Kershaw in. I don't think the starting pitching is going to get chased in the 3rd or 4th inning, very often, if at all. So Kershaw's role, I think, is exactly what you described, where maybe Sasaki's not available on one day. Maybe Sasaki doesn't quite have it the way that you're hoping he does, and you need to go to another guy. And I think that's where you go to your Hall of Famer.
And even the option of like Glasnow coming in the 7th inning, we saw him have to be taken out in the 8th in the game against Philadelphia. So
yeah, go ahead.
Go for it. So obviously, like, I would love for him to go 3 innings if he gets brought in the 7th, but I feel like we still need somebody to get us through the hump of the 9th to be like, okay, 3 outs, get these guys.
Yeah, look, let's say the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead after 6 innings, but Yamamoto's thrown 110 pitches and he's done. Okay, I don't hate Glasnow in that situation. Like, we got a lead. We can win this series right here. I keep in the back of my mind, Harry, I keep going back to Game 5 of the World Series last year, which is, hey, we got it. We need 3 more outs. We need 6 more outs. We need 9 more outs, whatever it is. If we win this game, the series is over. I can reset my staff. I think the NLCS starts on Monday.
Monday, correct.
Yeah. So that what's today? Today's Wednesday. You have a whole weekend. You got a couple of extra days to get your guys back where you need. So I would fire that Glasnow bullet tonight if it means the difference between winning the series or not.
And Glasnow wouldn't be starting until those home games for the Dodgers. So it's like, it's going to be Blake Snell, it's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto, or Shohei Ohtani in Game 1 and 2. Use them. If you're up, use them.
That 4th starter in a series is not a guy that you need to save. Now if you go 1-1 in the first 2 games of a series, now there's going to be a Game 4. That's a little bit of the difference. But when you got a chance to slam the door like the Dodgers do, like the Dodgers did last year in the World Series, I've said this a lot. Every day as I've heard me. The 2 guys that have been on the mound when they won the World Series in the last 5 years were both starting pitchers. It was Julio Urias and it was Walker Buehler. They're not scared about putting starting pitchers in at the end of games to close the show.
Well, Roki is as cool as ice. Not everyone in Dodger Blue is making fans feel so calm, because when it comes to the bullpen, the phone lines are lighting up. Next on Locked On Dodgers, we hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, and fans have thoughts about the late inning drama. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rujet Go Long. That's exactly where Rujet's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your front door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our promo code so they know that we sent you. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers, not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. All right, it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, the Locked On Dodgers listener line. And let me tell you, y'all didn't hold back. The bullpen has you nervous, and I get it. Even though LA's ahead in the series, those 8th and 9th innings haven't exactly been smooth sailing. Quite the opposite. Let's kick things off with Mike from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a first-time caller who lived the bullpen implosion in person a month ago on the road.
Harry, Travis, oh man, listen, I was in Baltimore on September 6th, and I'm still hurting from that. I went there to see the Dodgers and the Orioles for a couple of games, and what happened to Yamamoto was absolutely ridiculous. And for him to get pulled out of that game by Dave Roberts for no reason, he could have gotten one more out and that's it. But instead he brings in the lighter fluid. He brings in Blake Trinan, then he brings in Tanner Scott. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how that game ended. And then he brings in, the other night in Philadelphia, the second game, he brings in Blake Trinan. What is he thinking? Why? Why does he do that? He's got Sasaki in the bullpen. He's got Glasnow. He's got Kershaw. It's ridiculous how this works. I don't understand why he tried to give that game away. I'm a longtime Dodger fan. I grew up 5 miles from Dodger Stadium. I'm 73 years old. I still believe Dodger blue, but I can't believe the way this game has been managed by Dave Roberts. I hope you guys keep up the good work. Thanks for keeping me entertained, and God bless you both. Take it easy. Out.
Thank you so much to Mike from Myrtle Beach, his first voicemail that he drops for us. It was a good one.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, we've all been to baseball games, Travis, where it's been a close call with a no-hitter. That you're going through 6 through 7. It's like, man, I'm about to watch history. And then it stops and it's like, well, it was a great outing by that pitcher. He went through almost a full game of Yoshinobu Yamamoto having a no-hitter. He allows that home run, and then everything starts to collapse. I know that the bullpen hadn't been great until that point, but man, that one right there was when it started catching fire. He called Blake Trinan lighter fluid.
Well, I don't think that he's wrong. Let's start with that. Look, here's how weird the decision to bring Trinan in Game 2 in Philadelphia was. The Dodgers won the game, and the topic after the game was, what the heck was Blake Trinan doing in the game? What is Dave Roberts doing? That's how weird of a decision it was. That's how bad of a decision it was. They said usually after you win a game, it's like, yeah, I didn't get that, but hey, woohoo, we won the game. This was hey, what's going on out there? Here's my only attempt at an explanation, Mike, and I don't like this explanation, but it's the only thing I can come up with. Especially when you get into a 7-game series, you're not going to be able to pitch Sasaki every single game. You're going to have someone else pitch some of these games. You're going to have someone else get some big outs in some high leverage situations. And I think that this was another one of these. I do have what was it at that point? A 3-run lead. I do have a little bit of wiggle room. Now, that's a dangerous way to think. I agree. But let's see if he can't find something. Now, I would argue he's had 6 months to find something, and it hasn't happened. So it's not going to happen now. But that's the only thing I can come up with. Let's see if maybe we can't unlock something in him that'll allow me to go to him in the most difficult situations of the game. Because outside of that, I have no good. I don't even think that's a good explanation, but it's the only thing I could come up with. And Mike, I think you're going to get your wish. I don't think you're going to see him again in a hunt. Now, that doesn't mean you won't see Tanner Scott. That doesn't mean you might not see somebody else in that spot. But I think Blake Trinan. Blake Griffin will not pitch for the Dodgers.
He might do better right now.
He might.
Dunk on them.
Yeah.
Have Chris Paul throw him a lob, and then that might be better.
Jordan come in and pitch it. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see Blake Trinan again in a high leverage, or at least I certainly hope you don't.
All right, now it's turn of Tony from Los Feliz, our buddy, who starts looking into the future because he feels that this series against the Phillies is done.
Recovering from the final 2 innings of that game, I think I developed a hemorrhoid. Holy mackerel, we're going to be on a roller coaster ride because that was rough. But they got it done, and I don't want to take anything away from just how great of a pitching duo matchup that was. My favorite moment, of course, was Blake Snell throwing those 4 change-ups to Trey Turner, just making him look silly. But it's just so obvious there is some kind of late inning curse that they're going to have to rectify going towards the next series, because like my friend from Brooklyn used to say after the Dodgers fell in 2009 in Game 4 to Jimmy Rollins when he hit his double in that House of Horrors, Citizens Bank, he used to say, "What's done is done, my friend." Well, I'm going to use that. What's done is done, my friends. It's over. Let's face it, they're not going to beat us 3 times. I don't care how wobbly our bullpen is. So now you got to ask yourself, who do you want to play next? I'd like to see the Cubs. I'm not getting hard cut for, of course, but I'm just going to say I'd like to see the Cubs because I want to go back into that ballpark and avenge what happened in 2016. Revenge, a dish best supped cold.
Tony never disappoints. And Travis, it's interesting what he had to say. They're focusing on what he said at the end. He wants the Cubs, but the Brewers are in the same situation as the Dodgers and went away from punching their ticket to the NLCS. Do you have a preference right now?
I'm not writing off this series. Look, I am a devout member of the Church of Baseball. Devout, okay? Do not assume that this series is over. You know, the Phillies can beat anybody 3 games in a row. The Phillies just came into Dodger Stadium a couple weeks ago and took 2 out of 3, okay? The Phillies are really, really good. Do not assume that this thing is over, because it absolutely is not. So until they are done with the Phillies, until we can officially turn the page on this series and start looking to the NLCS, I am not saying I would rather have this one or that one, because this one isn't over. Trey Turner is going to show up tonight. Bryce Harper is going to show up tonight. Kyle Schwarber is going to show up tonight. Those are really, really good players. Dodgers have a bunch of good players too, but if you don't think that that team can show up and win 3 in a row, you're crazy. They absolutely can. The Dodgers are in a great spot. I love where they are. I love where their pitching is sitting right now, but this idea that it is over, it is 100% not.
Yeah, the Dodgers won the 3rd out of the 3 games less than a month ago. So in this case, they would have to win the 1st or the 2nd at Dodger Stadium to not go back to Philadelphia. So you're not going to give me an answer. No Milwaukee, no Chicago until the Dodgers win this.
That's who I need them to play. I need them to play and beat the Phillies. That's what needs to happen.
Fantastic answer. Personally, I'm just going to say the Cubs, because that would mean that the Brewers and the Cubs would go and play all the way until Game 5. True. So get them tired. Get them tired all the way till Saturday to then play either of them, the Dodgers, on Monday when they make it to the NLCS. That'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Dodgers. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, to talk all things Game 3 of the NLDS that the Dodgers will try to clinch with Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound tonight. That's the guy everybody would want to have in this type of situation, Travis.
Yep. They got their best guy on the mound in the most important game. It's set up about right for him. Now just go shove them in there. It's that cartoon where they're hanging by their fingertips on the cliff. Don't walk away and assume they're going to fall. Stomp on those fingers and get them down to the bottom of the canyon.
We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.